Hello and welcome back to the TCS podcast, where we're dedicated to helping you achieve extraordinary growth and success to create lasting impact on your families, companies, and communities. Eric Guy back again with a special guest, one we'll all get to see at the retreat. Ari, and hopefully I won't screw up your last name. Is it Bleemer?
Yeah, that's right.
That is the correct pronunciation. Founder of OneCrew. Some of you that are in the TCS community, I know you are familiar, have spoke with Ari, but we're going to get into what he does, how it can help us, help ourselves, and help our folks in industry. So welcome to the show, Ari. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me.
So let me just provide a little framework for this conversation. Because again, like this is one of those ones where we'll probably see you, run into you. I know you have plans to be at our retreat in Miami, which is great. But just to kind of frame the conversation, we're going to be focusing today on building systems that support crews, accountability, and leadership at scale. And that's, a lot of times when contractors are coming into top contractor school, that's what they're looking to do. And you are possibly one solution. So let me shut up for a little bit. Why don't you give us your background and what led you into, construction and eventually to building OneCrew?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having me, Eric. Excited to be here. And of course, excited to get down to Miami in about a month with the rest of the group down there. So a little bit of background on myself. I came from outside of the construction world. So I was in consulting prior to this, had a computer engineering background, was working on the consulting side to learn the business side of things, always wanting to be in the middle there of be building software for an industry that I felt like we could make a significant impact on. So while I was in the consulting world, I was working in some kind of construction adjacent industries, as well as in construction so working in utilities and some manufacturing, things along those lines, and really consistently saw a lot of the same issues, and specifically from a technology standpoint, from a software standpoint, a lot of the same gaps in what opportunities there were or what options there were on the market for these teams to use. And so as I was moving out of the consulting world, was really focused on construction as a whole as an area where there was clearly still a significant difference in the demand from construction companies, from contractors, and the supply that was available to them. And so as I dug more and more into it, eventually we came across the paving industry, which kind of ticked all the boxes that we saw as some of the significant challenges that people were facing, which was, a massive industry that's often overlooked by, the general public. And I think, as we saw it, by the technology world.
Yeah.
And so many of the challenges that folks were facing day to day were industry specific and not necessarily paving specific, but, project-based contractors where they're putting together estimates, proposals, going through, sending crews out, and then that invoicing is at the end of the process there. So a lot of similar challenges that we're seeing. And again, it was this clear example of people wanted better software. Everyone that we talked to wanted a system that worked for them, but consistently we're not able to find it because, frankly, as we saw it, it really didn't exist out on the market. And so we came in about 4 years ago now to build a better platform for the industry, and again, for project-based contractors, to really support their day-to-day workflows, to support them in the ways that they work, rather than trying to take a solution that was built for different contractors and very rigid to what their day-to-day looks like.
So we don't lose anybody, give us kind of a quick overview of what OneCrew actually does.
Yeah.
Like why would I want to have it as a contractor?
Yeah, so OneCrew is an all-in-one platform for contractors, covering everything from a lead coming in the door through an invoice going out. So the very easy way to think about this is that a lead comes in the door, you create a project, and that project is going to live in OneCrew. Everything that gets done for that project, be it estimates, proposals, all of your scheduling, your actuals, your work orders that are going out to the field, all of that lives within OneCrew. And then one of the pieces that we really focus on is presenting the right information to the right people at the right time. And so your crews out in the field, they don't get all of the information, they get the information that's pertinent to them. And all of that information lives in one place again, from the beginning, from a lead coming in the door, all the way through to an invoice going out and collecting payment. That's all happening.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So in your experience, what is like the real cost of miscommunication on the job site?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure anyone listening to this has plenty of stories of their own. I mean, we've seen a ton of different flavors and variations of this. It can be everything from kind of worst case scenario of losing a job, losing a customer. And, you know, in most of the industries that we serve, so much of business is repeat customers. And so losing that customer isn't just losing that one job, it's losing the next 5 as well. But everything from, you know, that project really kind of falling apart all the way through, like, even kind of minor miscommunications where part of the job is done incorrectly. We work in industries where, you know, margins are not excessive here, right? And so one part of the job, if it's done incorrectly and you've got to send a crew back out for some warranty work or whatever it might be, there goes all the profit on the job. And so even the small mistakes or miscommunications can be really impactful on the business as a whole.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things we're going to get into scaling here, just because it's such a big topic for our contractors. Like a lot of times when they come in, that's what they're struggling with. So they're either, you know, just a handful of people, they got small crews, or just one crew. You know, sometimes they you know, have between that 10 and 15 and can't just kind of break the ceiling of that. What do you think that like mind shift is that contractors need to make when it comes to managing people at scale?
Yeah, I think that's been one of the things that's been most exciting to us, and some of the stories that we're most proud of folks that we've worked with, of folks that have gone from one crew up to several, folks that have gone from, you know, when they started with us 4 or 5 crews up to 10 plus, et cetera. And so it's something that we love to see. What we've seen as contractors have grown is 2 things that I'll focus on. One is that from a scaling perspective, I actually think that a lot of the scaling challenges that people face as a contractor are not so different from scaling in just about any industry, right? And a huge part of that is communication, and a huge part of that is letting go. And so those are the 2 pieces that we see as the biggest challenges for folks as they start to scale up, is typically, in your example of going from 1 or 2 crews, right? And frankly, we've seen this in our business as well. And that's why I think it's not always so different. When going from, you know, those early crews, when you have 1 or 2 crews, an owner of that business or whoever the head of that business is running day-to-day operation knows what's happening across the board at all times, and can just keep all of that information in their head, and often, you know, might not need a full software platform or other systems in place to be able to understand what all is happening. As it gets to 3, 4, or 5 crews, all of a sudden, one person can't keep track of that, right? You know, you need to enable other people on your team and trust other people on your team. And the 2 places that we see that break down are either that person at the head isn't able to give up those responsibilities, isn't able to trust those other people on their team to go and execute, to go and run what, you know, effectively replace them in many ways with a lot of that day-to-day operation. And as part of that, often that communication breaks down as well, where they're a little bit reluctant to give up that responsibility. And so, you know, maybe they give most of the details, but whether it be consciously or subconsciously, they hold back a couple of the things because they're like, oh, well, I want to feel important. I want to feel like I'm needed. And so I want there to be information that only I know.
Yeah.
And that's where things can really break down.
Yeah. Do you think that's what usually breaks down first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree. I just wanted to know from your perspective if you saw it the same way.
I think so much of it comes, and it's hard, right? It's, for a lot of people, these businesses are, it's such a significant part of their life. It's a significant part of their identity in a lot of ways. And so, to feel replaceable in that business, or to feel like you actually can step away from that business and the whole thing isn't going to crumble, I think is a really hard transition to make, but it's also absolutely critical to that business ever, really having legs and being able to scale.
Yeah, and then it kind of gets into accountability, like so we're keeping track of things, and what from your perspective, what you see and how you've kind of managed to create that software and things of that nature. What's the most common mistakes owners make when trying to hold people accountable?
Well, that's one of the things that we really push with the platform, is that it kind of creates this inherent accountability, right? So I think a lot of the time people think about accountability as, you have to have that communication back and forth, and that really consistent, several times a day, hey, what's happening here? Okay. And if it can feel micromanaging, it can cross that line between, you want accountability, but you also want people to feel entitled and to feel, that they have some independence and some autonomy. And so I actually think that's kind of where, in some ways, OneCrew plays mediator to an extent of, you can see through the platform that people are being accountable, that people are going and doing the work that they need to do. They're taking the pictures, they're submitting their job costs, whatever it may be, right? Without breathing down their necks and saying, hey, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Right. And so that's where, I actually think that middleman of a software platform can be really valuable in just kind of relationships as well, where you can be a micromanager to an extent because you can see everything that's happening, but you can be a micromanager without having to kind of have that affect your relationship with that person, right? So I think that can be something that's really valuable, where it makes it so that accountability isn't through conversation at all times. You can see the actions without being right there next to them, right? You can see that things are getting done without being on the site. And that's a real unlock for a lot of folks.
Yeah, and it really helps them if they're going to follow it. Like if you do have a good crew member, it goes from having to micromanage them to really empowering them to, like, hey, look, here's how you do it. And this is why I was on your back. I'm not on your back anymore. But like when you give them that opportunity, I think that really enables them and empowers them to do it on their own. And I think they get more confidence that way. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think again, this idea of accountability versus autonomy, I don't think that these things are in conflict. I often think that they're talked about as you have one or the other, right? Either you're really on top of someone, or you're giving them autonomy. And I think the goal is to have both. To your point, when people have that autonomy, and then you show them kind of the results of it, and show them okay, this is why I was pushing you in these ways. Look how great this product is. And now, as you're building these skills, I can start to step away a little bit. I think those are the key pieces, which is, you're showing them what the results of the efforts are, right? You're showing them why you're pushing them in certain directions. And then as they're learning, you are starting to step away a little bit. And I think if those two things are happening, then you're building really empowered leaders in the business, and you're building really impactful people in the business. But I think if either of those aren't true, if you're not showing them the why, or if you're not actually kind of giving them that reward for learning these things, and that reward being that you're stepping away a little bit more, I think if either of those things aren't happening, it's really hard to build kind of fully empowered leaders in the business.
Yeah. Very good. Good stuff. Absolutely. Let's talk about some practical takeaways for our community, for our TCS members. Here's a good one. If a contractor, if one of our contractors listening here, that says, and I hear this a lot, that's why I wrote this down. My people are good, but my execution is inconsistent. Where should I start?
It's a tough question. It's a hard conversation that we have with some people, which is, you can't detach yourself from that, right? if your execution is inconsistent, it all comes back, the buck has to stop with someone, right? And so if the execution is inconsistent, where's the breakdown, right? It can't just be that, oh well, some days my guys show up and they're ready to go, and they're ready to be detail oriented, and some days they're tired, they're hungover, whatever it is, and all of a sudden execution isn't there, right? It's kind of building that daily, some people talk about it as like daily excellence, right? Or I would almost argue that, having consistency is better than having the highs and lows.
Yes.
If your best product is truly incredible, but you can only deliver it 1 out of every 3 days, or you can deliver a very good product every single day, you're going to want to go after that very good product, right? And so I think it is, all about building the same kind of or clear process day over day, where people are showing up in the same way, where expectations are set at a standard level every single day, such that, there aren't some days where all of a sudden people are expected to go way above and beyond, and some days where, it's okay to underperform. I think it's really important to have those same expectations day over day to be able to drive that consistency.
As far as metrics or signals that tell that a crew is disengaged or underperforming.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, what are some of the signals from your perspective?
One of the things that we've seen that's been interesting has been from, coming back to communications.
Mm-hmm.
When communications are less consistent and start trailing off, or there's, further gap between communications. A week ago, they were sending photos every couple of hours, giving good updates. And now they're doing it, maybe once a day, or they're forgetting some days. That's been one indication that we've seen of just that kind of disengagement, right? Where it's like people have, to some extent, lost pride in the work that they're doing. And that is a key indicator that we've seen of this performance going downhill, right? And that often is going to start with that foreman or project manager on that job, where if they're showing up with a bad attitude, then it's kind of all right, we got to get it done, versus like, let's go build a great, product, whether it be a parking lot, a driveway, sidewalks, whatever it is, whatever the work is that day. If there's a lot of pride in it, then often people are going to want to show it off to the rest of the company. Maybe they're posting on their socials, all of that. That I think often leads to a great product, versus if folks are feeling like it's truly just a job that they're showing up to and that they have to complete. That's where we've seen things fall off.
Yeah. So how can owners use tools like OneCrew to reduce stress and free up time? Because I think a lot of, like, well, at least when I have the conversations with contractors, it's like, oh, this is going to just stress me out more. What is this going to do for me? It's like, well, if you get the right one,
yeah,
I think your stress is going to go down. It's going to free up some time for you to do bigger and better things, like highest and best use, especially for the owner.
I think that's exactly right. One of the biggest pieces that we've seen there is just pulling out the uncertainty, right?
Yes.
So I think when you really try to distill what is stressing out an owner, I think often what it comes down to is the unknown, right? What's happening that I'm not seeing with my own eyes? Where are the dollars flowing, right? What work is, are people saying that it's getting done, but I don't actually trust that it's getting done, right? And so that's been one of the biggest unlocks for a lot of our owners, is that it takes out that uncertainty. All of a sudden, they know where everyone is. They're getting regular updates from everyone. They know exactly what their salespeople are selling, what proposals are outstanding. They can forecast okay, we've got a great pipeline of business coming in, or hey, we're a little bit weak. We need to go really push on getting some sales done and getting more business in the door. But all of a sudden, there's not this, I need to go talk to every single salesperson, whether it's one or it's 10. I need to go talk to all of them to see where we're at and how much business is coming in. And, I don't really know what's happening until I have a signed contract on the desk. it takes out so many of those questions to just be able to say, all right, I know how much is outstanding. I can forecast to some extent what's going to be coming in. I know where my crews are. I know what work is getting done. I can forecast, based on my schedule, can look at things and say, all right, this is about how much revenue I can expect over the next month, how much margin I can expect over the next month. And what we found is that, for a lot of folks that are working incredibly long days, because we don't operate in industries where people are just hanging out and building great businesses. Like it's hard work, and it does, it takes a lot of time. But what we found, especially at that owner level, is that in the past, so much of that time has been dedicated to just trying to gather information, and having a platform like OneCrew allows that to just happen, right? Everyone is interacting with it, so that, rather than trying to go and talk to 20 people and spending what might be the entire day trying to do so, you log in and all that information is right in front of you.
Yeah. Could it be just that simple?
You always hope so, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it when you think about it, well, I don't want to get down a rabbit hole. I got another question for you here, but that pertains to that. So what's one system you would say, like, that you would give to our members that every contractor should implement in the next 30 days to improve their crew performance?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say OneCrew and then I'll move on.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, we've talked about in the past a little bit is this idea of, right, I think a lot of people hear system and automatically think technology or automatically think software. And I actually think that, systems often can just be, accountability systems between people, right? Rather than necessarily like a huge software platform to support the whole business. And so, thinking about systems, I would say, one of the things that we've seen be really effective is, having expectations around basically pride around the work, right? And so typically how that actually comes into play is that, it's a requirement of, okay, people need to, and a lot of people do this already, but people need to take daily pictures of the job site, take pictures of the people, people on the site, of what people are doing. Obviously, be careful with this, right? Don't let this interfere with safety on the site or anything along those lines. But one of the things that we've found is when people are, very frankly, just having a little bit more fun on the site, right? Where it's, they're showing that pride in the work. They're wanting to share what they're doing, yes, with the rest of the company, but also, with people outside of the company. Really encouraging that, I think, is something that we've found that has led to, we've talked a lot about the work product itself and consistency and execution and all of that. But obviously there's massive challenge around just labor and retention in general as well. And that's something that we've seen where, when they feel a little bit more of a connection to the work itself, to the company itself, that can be really valuable for the retention side of things as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Before we get to the rapid fire questions here, Ari, what's the best way for people to contact you if they have questions?
Yeah. So can go straight to our website. It's getoncrew.com, GETONECREW.com. You can reach out to us directly through there. You can book a demo directly through there. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
Yeah. And so for members that are watching this, we probably will have these guys on to demonstrate more on one of the inner circle calls and the elite calls, so you can get a glimpse of that and have your own private time to ask questions. But again, we'll see you at the retreat. Please, guys, if you are at the retreat, please let Ari know, introduce yourself, and start that conversation.
Yeah, and also, I mean, for folks, especially folks going to the retreat and folks in general, I can be reached directly. It's just Ari@getoncrew.com. So ARI@getoncrew.com.
Gotcha. All right. You ready for these rapid fire questions?
Do it.
All right. So one thing that frustrates contractors most about managing crews?
I'll just go with people showing up.
Yeah. Best trait of a great foreman.
Good communication.
One tool every crew leader should use daily.
OneCrew.
Okay. I'm interested on how you're going to answer this one. Accountability or autonomy, which comes first?
I think accountability comes first. You have to earn autonomy.
Yes. Okay, good. Most common excuse for poor execution.
I didn't know. Didn't have the right information.
One habit high-performing crews share.
I'll come back to this pride in their work.
Okay. Your coffee or energy drink?
Big coffee guy.
Big coffee guy. All right. One book every construction leader should read.
I'm gonna take a slight left turn, which makes it easier for folks because this is about, it's like a 10-minute read, but there's it's a book as well. But a guy, Frank Slootman, wrote an article titled, I think it's titled "Amp It Up." The book is called "Amp It Up." If you just Google "Amp It Up" Frank Slootman blog post, it's about a 10-minute read, all about empowering your team, and it's his story of how he took two companies public. So a lot of value there.
One question every owner should ask their crews weekly.
What could be better?
Love it. Well, thanks. I know this is just the first of several conversations we're going to be having, Ari. I appreciate it. Are you in the One Team app yet?
I don't believe I am, but I will make sure to get in there.
Yeah, we'll get you in there so we can go back and forth. We can have our contractors go back and forth with you there too, because they reach out that way as well. Any last words for our community here?
No, I'm excited to see everyone in Miami, and excited to be a part of this community.
Yes. Well, welcome. Looking forward to having a lot of conversations with you. That's a wrap for today, folks, for the TCS podcast. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep winning.